In the Huddle was created to give student athletes, parents and coaches an inside look at the journey through US college sport and all that comes with it. The demands, the experiences, the excitement and the opportunities available to our student athletes from around the world. Study and Play USA facilitates a comprehensive, customised approach for student athletes and families for their whole journey, from their high school preparation years right through to US college graduation. Our guest today is fresh off his first full year of college in the USA, where he's been studying and competing as a multi-event competitor on the track and field team at Northern State University. It's an exciting time for everybody this time of year. Coaches get to have a long summer break, families get to see their kids who are returning from their summer break, and student athletes get to take a deep breath and reflect on the year that was. And for us at Study and Play USA, it also gives us a chance to check in again with many of our student athletes. So I'm excited to chat to Jackson Willis today, who joins us from his dorm room all the way over in South Dakota. Welcome, Jackson.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Awesome, mate. Really good to see you. And I notice you've got a Canadian flag behind you. I take it that's your roommates, mate.
I'm actually in a friend's apartment at the moment.
Okay.
My roommate's from the UK, so just because obviously classes finished last week, so obviously our dorm room situation's been a bit rough just because we've had to stay extra time. So I'll be living with a mate for the next couple of weeks while I'm here. So.
Yeah, good one. And I think I told a little bit of a small lie in the intro there. You haven't quite finished. Obviously, you finished your final exams last week, but you've got your conference meet coming up any day now, right?
Yeah, so it's Tuesday here at the moment, so we've got 2 days. I'll start the decathlon in 2 days on Thursday. So it's very exciting. I'm very excited. Keen to get out there and see, obviously, hopefully some improvements.
Yeah, good. And whereabouts is that, mate? How in terms of proximity to where you are now?
We've got it at home this year, so It's a 5-minute drive down the road. So that's very nice knowing what you're doing, where you're going. So hopefully we can take advantage of that.
Home ground advantage, absolutely. That's good. And how did final exams go last week?
Finals, they're always stressful, but I finished up classes quite comfortably, so we're happy and looking forward to next year.
Good. And just on the academics, Jackson, how have you found that academic experience so far? And normally, obviously, coming from high school into university, wherever you are in the world is a big transition, but doing that into not only America, but South Dakota, it's a long way from Orange, New South Wales, right? How have you sort of found that the academic experience so far?
So far, it's been okay. I struggled a little bit in my first semester, just obviously it's completely different structure, different types of teaching, everything like that. So, that was a bit of a challenge in itself, but I know this semester I've been pretty happy with just rolling through. I've sort of known what I've been doing, so that's been a lot easier. But yeah, overall it's been a nice sort of transition into it. So yeah.
Good. That's good. And are you still doing electives, or have you nominated your major at this point?
Yeah, so I'm doing a major in human performance and fitness.
Great.
This year's pretty much just been generals, your maths, your sciences, that kind of thing that everyone's got to do, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But next semester's classes are a lot more based towards my major, which, that's exciting. It's a bit boring just doing sort of what seems like high school subjects.
Yes.
And, you're in a college situation. But, yeah, I'm looking forward to doing some more classes that's going towards my actual major.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. Just for listeners, the US system allows up to 2 years of electives, where it's designed to sort of give a taste test for different subjects for different students, across the different subjects, and before they, nominate their major with certainty. So obviously what you're talking about there, Jackson, is you're doing those electives that some of them are compulsory, as you know, and some of them are by choice, just to try and taste test different subjects. So sounds like you got most of that behind you, and now it's all about your major, which is pretty exciting, eh?
Yes, that's very exciting.
Good, mate. Good. Okay, Jackson, I'm going to put you on the spot, mate. It's probably going to be a very hard one to answer in a short answer, but how would you sum up your first year in South Dakota? Yeah, as I said, a very big difference from living in Orange in New South Wales. But how would you sum it up, mate?
Honestly, cold. We, especially over Christmas break, I went up to North Dakota with one of my mates, and it got down to negative 40 degrees, which I can tell you is freezing cold. So that's definitely been a challenge. It's been a long winter. I mean, it's spring here technically, but it's only really started to warm up sort of this week.
Yeah.
So obviously we've had outdoor track for the last month and a half, which, I've been outside in the snow running around the track. So that's definitely been a big challenge and something very different that I haven't experienced before.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's been super exciting to see, especially with my sporting, how, the difference between coaching and the way they do things here compared to back home. I know for track especially, it's very, very different.
Yeah.
But I mean, we're seeing improvements, which is a good thing.
That's great.
And I'm very excited to see what the next couple of years brings.
Yeah, that's good. I mean, it's you mentioned the climate there, and that's a huge factor, particularly in your sport. In most sports, obviously, not every sport's an indoor sport. So for outdoor sports like yours, the weather is a factor, and obviously you would have, obviously in the process of choosing this college, you would have known it. But yeah, I don't think anything can quite prepare you for minus 40, right? So, and I assume that maybe the snow, for most Aussies, seeing snow and all that sort of thing is a fairly good novelty. Has the novelty worn off yet, mate?
Definitely. When there's snow on the ground and it's in the negatives for months on end, you get pretty sick of it.
Yeah,
100%.
Yeah, that's interesting, mate. So, and what do you think if you look back, which is probably a little bit hard for you to do as well because it's probably been a bit of a blur this first year for you, and I know it is for me when I reflect on sort of calling you before you left, and just it was from that time to now, it's flown by from our perspective, and I'm sure it's the same for you. But if you can cast your mind back to that first semester last year, what do you think aside from the climate? What do you think has been the biggest change to get used to?
Definitely, because I mean, I know most people when you think of track and field, it's an individual sport. But over here in the States, it's very much a team sport, and the way you bond with your team reflects how you do at like your conference championships and that kind of thing. So having sort of a team behind you rather than just doing it with you and your coach or you and your parents or whatever your support system might be, just having, we've got 80 athletes on our track team here at Northern. So it's a big team, and it's been really exciting to sort of get that side of it rather than just the individual part of it.
Yeah, that's a great point. And have you found that that's helps with motivation? Particularly, I guess, it's a, being a high level athlete's tough at the best of times, even in Australia in perfect weather conditions. Yeah. But have you found knowing that you've got teammates that are all going through the same thing, trying to motivate each other, that's been a positive for you?
100%, definitely. It's definitely been a lot easier. Like we've got guys from, all around the world but even different parts of America that haven't experienced this type of cold either. And just, sort of doing it together has been something that's really helped, whether it's, snowing outside and we're all complaining, just knowing that there's other people going through the same thing that you are is definitely helping.
Yeah. You're all suffering in the snow together, right? No,
yes.
It's we joke about it, but it's right, and it is a fundamental difference. We talk to swimmers, and it's the same thing. Swimming's such an individual sport.
Mm-hmm.
My old sport, tennis, is a little bit similar. You go to college, and it's all team, and it's it's quite refreshing when you get there, isn't it? So,
Mhm.
okay, that's a really good point. And in terms of um, again, when you again casting your mind back when you first arrived, and then obviously this whole year, what sort of, you did mention coaching is different and the way they do it, and what sort of support did you get from people at university, whether it's coaching staff, other support staff around campus, for a young Aussie kid trying to adapt to this new life? How have you found the support, mate, so far?
The support is sort of been overwhelming. Everyone here has been so, they've really wanted to help me out wherever they can, whether it's, driving me to the supermarket to get food every week, or, going to get food one night, just hanging out. It's been, especially, that's one thing I noticed from the beginning. Like, everyone wants to help the international kids, which makes it really, really easy because, you don't have to go out asking. They're kind of asking you, which is nice. So,
Yeah.
I mean, that's definitely been a big part of it.
Yeah, and were you worried about that before you went to college, or whether you'd be welcomed or whether you'd just be not sure where to go, who to ask,
Yeah.
questions to, and
And
was
I
that
think
a concern?
any kind of new environment, people, they kind of think that kind of stuff,
Yeah,
which, I mean, definitely that was running through my head. But the minute I walked on campus and met the coaches, they were there for me. They were checking up on me every day for the first couple of weeks, and, offering to drive me places, which was really awesome.
yeah, no, it's really good, and it's we do find that it's Americans in general are very hospitable, but you put them in an environment like this, a college environment. I think Americans tend to admire those that are willing to leave their homes for
Yeah.
up to 4 years to come and do this, and share
Mhm.
their, I guess, culture as well with their local Americans. And I think they admire that, and they go, "Gee, maybe I don't know if I could do that." So I admire
Yeah.
this young man. We're going to support him and make him feel as home as possible. So I'm glad that you've had that experience too, because that's certainly been our experience with other student athletes. And just on the coaching staff, I know Coach Dingman has been very, very positive with her feedback um, on you the whole way through, and very responsive and very high communicator with us regarding your progress, which is really, really positive. I mean, you did mention how the coaches have been so welcoming, and just in general, you did touch on it before, how the coaching's different. Do you want to just talk about that, mate? How have you found the coaching, and from how have you found the coaching and the track and field
Yep.
experience so far, and in terms of in relation to home?
Yep. Well, I know at Northern, all the coaches were athletes at Northern,
Okay.
so, which is honestly really, really cool because I know that doesn't really happen very often. So all our coaching staff have run at Northern at some stage in their life, which has been awesome. And, as a decathlete, I'm doing 10 events a week, so I'm working with all of the coaches, which again is a challenge in itself. But I've found that I'm working well with all the coaches. I know Coach Dingman. She also was a multi-event athlete when she was competing, so it's nice to have a head coach that understands what you're going through, and, what you're putting your body through compared to just a 100-meter sprinter, for example. It's a lot different. On that as well, like, we're doing 2 events a day, every day pretty much. I got 6 days a week where I'm practicing, which, I mean, gets pretty full on, especially when, I got a 3-4 month long season.
Yeah.
So, as well as competing pretty much every weekend. So that's one thing that's different. I know I'd only compete once every 2 weekends, and we'd taper off according at home.
Yep.
But the conference championships here, and they only really taper off for that. So you're competing on a tired body all the time,
Yes.
which has taken a lot to get used to and a lot to wrap my head around. But, I mean, definitely when we get to this stage of the season, we're tapering off, you can feel how beneficial that kind of training is going into a big meet.
Yeah, that's good. It's interesting. It's just a different way of doing things, isn't it? And it's
some may think, oh gosh, that's going to be a bit hard to handle, but it's amazing what you can handle, and
Yeah.
if exposed to it. But yeah, it's a great example of how things are a little bit different over there. And I think if you flip it the other way, if you probably take the Australian approach into an American, you've probably got a lot of downtime, and if you got too much downtime living away from home, sometimes the homesickness and those sort of things can set in. And
Yes.
look, it's not something we shy away from here with studying Play USA, because it's reality. You're going to have, as much as we are very passionate about this 4-year opportunity, and it can be the best thing that ever happened to you, but it's still had your challenges, mate. Have you had a bit of any homesickness initially, or in recent times over there?
Yeah, I know. Looking back, my first semester was really tough. I mean, for the first half of our first semester, it was all like practice sports side. It was all, just conditioning. I wasn't doing any event specific work, which again was new to me. But not having meets on the weekend and just having a bit less of a load in practice, it as you said, it gives you more downtime to sort of think about where you are and how far away from home you actually are.
Yeah.
So, I'm sure a lot of student athletes that have come over have experienced that kind of a thing. But, sort of, especially this semester where, I'm traveling, I'm on the road every weekend, you just flat out all the time. So that's really helped with that kind of homesickness type feeling.
Yeah, that's right. And that's probably why it's flown so much too this year too, right? The busier you are, the faster time goes along. And not that you're willing on the end of this journey, but yeah, staying busy is the key, we think. And yeah, sometimes when you arrive in America in the off season for your sport, when you're not competing as much, it can be a challenging first semester, which is why we generally find if that's happening, it is generally happening in that first semester, that homesickness. Incidentally, Jackson, I know you're only a few weeks from coming home, and that's when I got homesick. Funnily enough, it was right at the end where I could just taste it. I was just about, smell that meat pie already. I'm going to have when I get home.
Oh yeah,
It's so close you can almost taste it, but so far away. So, that's my experience. But mate, I just want to quickly touch on you've mentioned being a decathlete before. How have you found, and again, you've mentioned the challenges of competing outdoors in a climate that is pretty cold. And again, you probably didn't have that indoor seasons sort of here in Australia. So how have you found that? And have there been is the way you train for indoors different to outdoors and things like that?
Yeah, so I mean, as a multi-event athlete, indoors we only do 7 events rather than the full 10, which honestly I really enjoyed. It's not as stressful on your body as you can imagine. You're doing 3 less events, which is really nice. I was able to get up and walk the next day properly, which was lovely.
Yeah.
But obviously dropping those 3 events, we dropped the 400 and 2 throws. So the load on your body is a lot less indoors, which I found to be really nice. And, indoors in itself, getting out of the cold and, not running in the snow was really, really cool. And the whole indoor experience for me, because obviously we don't have that back home in Australia.
Yes.
It was something really different. And I wanted to just, especially this year, just take that all in and not worry about the performance side, because, I've never done that before.
Yeah.
And to just really take it in this year and then sort of get after a bit more next year.
Good. Almost just give yourself a free pass to go and enjoy it, see what happens, and then build on it next year. That's a great attitude, mate. And you did mention before, I was really interested to hear, I was going to ask you about this anyway, but, as a decathlete, is there a decathlete coach who just works with you, or are you working across all disciplines with each individual coach? Sounds like you're working, when it's time to work on hurdles, you work with the hurdle coaches and the hurdlers. And then time to work on throws with throw coaches and things like that. Is that sort of how it's worked?
Yeah, so our head coach, Coach Dingman, is our multi-event coach. technically, but so she does all our programming and oversees all the practice schedules and what we're doing, how much we're doing per week. But then when we pole vault, we go to the pole vault coach. When we throw, we go to a throws coach, which is nice. I've found that quite nice. It's a different person for a different event, so you're not seeing the same face every day, which honestly I've found has been pretty nice. But then obviously still having that all connected and the communication between everyone is still there, so you're not lagging in some areas.
Yeah, and I think maybe if you were doing that where you were maybe all living separately and you're living away from campus, that might be difficult. But because you're all there, the communication side, you all see each other every day would help a lot, I'd imagine.
Yeah, definitely.
Mate, and I'd imagine you were pretty glued to the TV last year at the Tokyo Olympics, like watching Ash Maloney.
Oh yeah, I must admit, when I wasn't at school and I had some time off work, I was sitting on the couch watching the Olympics the whole time, which honestly was really nice. And yeah, watching Ash come third, win a bronze medal was just amazing. No one really saw it coming. No one really expected him or Cedric even to get up in the medals. But just seeing the two of them out there was just smashing it was really inspiring.
Wasn't it? And I can only imagine as a young athlete like yourself and watching that. I mean, I know if it was me, I'm too old, certainly no athlete like you, but yeah, that'd be firing me up to sort of maybe be like them, right? And that extra motivation to keep working hard, training, and who knows what might happen down the track. So good to have role models in your event, isn't it? Like Ash. So that's, I thought of you when I was watching him because, we don't have a lot of decathletes that we work with.
Yeah.
I was hoping that you were watching that, mate, and glued to it. So pleased that you were. All right, mate. So look, what's next year look like for you? Do you have any specific goals and, you've set for yourself in the classroom and on the track? You mentioned indoors, you want to sort of improve on that next year, but anything else, mate, you want to share?
Yeah, look, I'm really looking forward to next year. I sat down with Coach Dingman today, and she said that more often than not, you see massive improvements in your second year in college, sports-wise. So I'm really excited to see what that looks like for me. Indoors, I know I came close to a national qualifier, so that's obviously something that I'm looking towards. And then just placing higher, getting more points for the team is always a nice thing.
Yeah, very good. And again, you just mentioned the team thing again. Your mentality now is how can I contribute to the team? You're focusing on yourself so you can do well, but if you do well, the team's going to benefit as well. So you've just hit it on the head. What college is all about, really. And this summer, mate, you're coming home, I understand. What are you doing after? I know you said you're doing something a little bit different after your conference meet.
Yep.
You might be having a bit of an adventure around the US.
Yeah, so my pole vault coach, Coach Royer, is taking me and my roommate out to see the other side of South Dakota, which apparently is really different to this side, but I don't really understand that yet. So I'm excited to go out there and sort of explore, another side of a state and see the rest of America. So that'll be pretty exciting. And I also will be heading to Canada for like a week or two, and then before heading home. So that should be pretty exciting as well.
Good on you, mate. That's terrific. You're doing everything you should do at college, really experiencing all there is to offer, and those extra experiences at the end of the season. That's fun. You'll look back on those in a few years and be really glad you did it. And when you're home, do the coaching stuff? Are they giving you a training program for the summer break, or have you got your own, or catching up with your own coach back home? How does that all work?
Yeah, so I've got a strength and conditioning program, and Coach Dingman is in the process of sorting out the track sort of side of programs. Just she's giving us some time off, which is very nice.
Yeah.
But then we get back into it, so we're not completely just hopeless when we come back next year.
Yeah, good point. Good message out there for listeners. Making sure you don't waste your summer break. You need a break and enjoy it, but
Yes.
you don't want to come back in less than top shape and ready to go. So speaking of home, I've got to tell you, it was maybe a few months ago now. We were in a lift, staying in a hotel in Sydney. We were going to watch the New South Wales Junior Champs, and a young family must have recognised the logo on our jumper, and said, "Oh," and they were from Orange, and they said, "Do you know? Did you help Jackson?" And Willis, so mate, you're famous. You're very famous, and
There you go. Eh? Small world.
yeah, no, you've got the whole town of Orange, hopefully, probably aware of what you're doing and supporting you. So I'm sure you're looking forward to getting home, mate. And what are the things you're most looking forward to doing when you get back?
Just getting away from schoolwork is one big thing that I'm very excited for. But I miss the small things like you said before, meat pie, or driving, having that freedom of just going wherever you want, whenever you want. Nice home cooked meals, I must admit.
Yeah,
that's very, very, very missed when you're living in the dorms.
Yes.
But yeah, just the little things like that I'm very excited to get back to, just for a couple of months.
No, good on you, mate. Well, look, it's been great catching up. We're following your progress very carefully, Jackson, and we can't wait to see what next year brings. So good luck, mate, and have a great time with your family at home.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thanks for your time, mate.